Hello! Much better. Hello everybody and welcome back to Lock In with your host, myself, Milosh. This is episode number 5 and I just had to take you with me on a little trip to Copenhagen, to our EML studio, the Fortress here, because it's Super Week and we're having so much fun going through games that we just have to sit down and talk about what's been happening in the Siege X world, as always, every single week on Thursdays. Putrid. That's how G2 played this week. At least, according to this guy.
Yo, Doki, you are putrid, bro. Stop it. For the first time I can say it, you're putrid, guys. I love it.
Naquo was over the moon having beaten G2, and of course it's been 2 years since he was able to take them down, and this was the conversation. He's saying they played putrid, and specifically Doki, who had to agree, he responded, but they'll take them out in the playoffs. And honestly, during the Super Week, we also got to talk to Doki. We showed him his own stats. And yeah, he did agree and confirm it was putrid, no two ways around it, but G2's overall performance in EML looks great, no matter everything that's floating around on social media. But there's 4 teams that are locked in: Falcons, G2, GenG, and Secret, Wolves, Fnatic, Magical, and of course Team BDS fighting for the last 2 spots. But of course, by the time this is out, you'll already know what's been going on. So I'm gonna put my neck out there and I'm gonna say Fnatic, Wolves make it to the playoffs. You can say whatever you want, you know, you have the benefit of hindsight at all of that at that moment. But tell me, was I completely wrong? Was I in some way correct? Did BDS come back? Did Magical fight back into the top 6? I don't know. You want hot takes? I got hot takes for you. Let's go all the way to APL and see what's been going on there all together. Now, every time I watch a stream and I'm seeing APL teams, especially if it's FAILEVATE and Demon Kia, I get the same questions and the same comments that are floating around, which is it even fair to have Brazilians in APL? Bam, bam, bam. I don't care. It's not the same when you pluck an entire team from Brazil and you mix them together and take them into APL. It's different than in EML or an NAL where you're taking specific players to fit certain roles with certain skill sets. That's a completely different thing. Now, of course, it's very easy to have the blanket of, oh, is it even fair to have Brazilians playing in APL? Ha ha ha, they're gonna make it, they're gonna smash everybody. Look, if you're looking at DK that pretty much brought the best that they could bring and to play in Korea and Japan, I mean, cool, good for them. They made chumps out of CAG. For me, the biggest culprit here is FAILEVATE. They absolutely dropped the ball. And this is a squad with a world champion on them. Psycho, who's won SI21 back in the day with NIP in Paris. This man wants to be there, wants to compete. But what happened? They failed to play. After a great group stage, really, they get 5 points ahead of everybody else. They go into playoffs, and then they fail to win the 2 games that are necessary to get into the finals. They dropped the ball against Daystar and Weibo. They failed to make it to AWC in stage 1, get the invite spot, and now the same thing is going on with the major, which pretty much kills every potential for the invitational unless somehow a miracle can happen. SAL is up still on the chopping block. The fight is clear that Loud, Lost, and Black Dragons are fighting their way for that final spot for the playoffs in SAL, and I think it's done. I think Loud are gonna hold on to that spot regardless of what Lost and Black Dragons do, because the games are so tough. All 3 of them are facing massive opponents. Black Dragons, they play FaZe, good lord. Lost, they play W7M, holy hell. And then NIP are playing Loud. So Loud are having a tough time anyways, but everybody gets a tough game here and there. And this is the last possible moment for it, the worst one really. And I think regardless of what happens, I think Loud are gonna take it. That's just my hot take. I don't know, is it hot? Is it Loud or not? We're just gonna have to see. You Shield players are eating good. In Ubisoft news, of course, Denari has received a nerf. Now what happens is usually you try to disable those Denari traps, but they would automatically turn back on. Now that off-on period has been extended to 1 second. So it takes time for the laser to go back in action, and that's at a time where you can push through because the traps will not affect you at all. Sports confused, Bikini Body's confused, King George is confused, Titanium Rolo, Macy J, everybody out there is confused all over Twitter and social media in general, because even when you add an operator that is perfectly suited to deal with shields, if you're creative enough like Denari, well, shield players gotta keep eating good. Now friends, I want to play a game with you. Let me read out a little quote and maybe you can tell me who this is coming from. 5 clowns who get along well and play the game well, and it shows on the server. Of course, it's Oxygen's Grixer from, of course, OXG. Their team have been doing excellently this stage, and through that super week in NAL, they're able to secure their spot at 2nd place and then get a bye going into playoffs, which means they skip 1 match and are even a closer step to making it to the major. Now at 1st place, it's M80. All of that work and effort that they've done through this year has finally paid off. We'll see how successful they will be in the playoffs, and finally, might be the moment to make it happen. Though from the top, I want to go to the ones that barely scraped by. For all the fans out there of SSG and Dark Zero, rejoice. It took a while and it was like pulling teeth at some point, but they're in. That's just how the seeding works. Really, they're just gonna have to play more games in the playoffs bracket to see if they can make it to the major. There's 4 spots in total, so in general, it's gonna be a really tough fight in NAL, much like any other region. Really, at this point, competition does not stop getting any warmer. Loss play W7M. Should Loss be able to secure points and really get a win against W7M in overtime or not, that'll catapult them into the top 6 and potentially lock in their spot there in a big fight with Black Dragons, and loud for that. But the main focus this week is the APL. It all has to do with the Oceania, OS region, because this weekend they are playing for all the marbles, and we might be seeing Enterprise and Chiefs moving through. All of this will be happening at PAX Australia in Melbourne. If you're heading there and you're from down under, make sure you grab yourself some tickets and have some fun. Enjoy meeting players from all over the APL region that are competing. Of course, a wonderful talent crew that'll be present at the event. So that is yet another week of action here in Siege X Esports. Next week is not going to get any warmer, I promise you that. We turn it back up because it's playoffs week for many of our regions that are kicking things off. EML are starting with week 1 of their playoffs, so are SAL and NAL, and SAL is really just closing off their group stage before immediately heading into those playoffs to see who makes it to the Munich Major. Until then, thank you very much for joining us here on Lock In. It was episode number 5. We'll see you next week for some more drama and action.